In the most recent job that I had, I was called into my boss's office for a mid-year review. And one of the questions I was asked was, where do you see yourself in 5 years? One of the most cliche and commonly asked questions during interviews and by superiors all over the world. And yet, one of the truest and most thought-provoking questions there is. I had been at that company for a near 5 years to that point, and had one of the questions during my entry interview have been, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I can tell you that my answer would not have been with this company. After many moments similar to this one during my post-high school time, I finally returned to school, to university, many years after my high school graduation, to pursue something that I can most definitely see myself doing 5 years from now. A large portion of this newfound excitement and passion I must attribute to the commonly known gap year, or in my case, gap years. I initially took the traditional path. Right after high school, I attended university in another city than my hometown. After faltering grades, among other things, I returned home to continue school, but while living with my family. Again, my academics were not up to par with the success that I had in high school, and my parents began to question what was happening. As a teenager, it was hard for me to explain that I did not have a passion for what I was doing, a drive, a path. I was told that if I was not going to be attending school, that I needed to get a job, and thus started my gap year. A gap year, for those who don't know, is time spent figuring out what an individual wants to do with their life. The gap year helped me invigorate excitement, and the gap year could help many people around the world do the same. Now, there are a couple of misconceptions about the gap year. One of them, and the first being, that a gap year can only be taken by a student coming right out of high school before attending college. While it is highly recommended to take a gap year at this time, as Global Citizen Year tells us, a gap year can actually give you increased college success. Learning diligence and hard work by taking a gap year is fantastic preparation for the heavy homework universities are known for. But it is not the only time a gap year can be taken. I know many people who have taken the traditional path through college, through school, and they're returning home from university miserable. I know people who are 1 or 2 years into their profession, bored and dull because they're going to jobs and spending the majority of their time doing things they dislike, because they never spent any time figuring out what it is they actually enjoy. The second misconception is about how you spend your time during the gap year. Although some might hope that you just lounge around in bed and on the couch, and sure, some of your time can be spent doing that, a person's time, the majority of a person's time, should be spent figuring out life, exploring future occupations or careers, exploring interests, or even travel. Teen Life tells us that many organizations offer programs to intern or shadow professionals with little to no experience in that certain field. Internships offer the chance to shadow professionals in a field or work in a research lab or in a field site, politics, or in business. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so now that I know a gap year can be taken at any age, and I know that I'm not going to be spending all of my time laying in bed, what besides figuring out what I do or don't want to do with my life is a benefit to taking a gap year? Well, that is a very good question. Among many other benefits, 3 to highlight are performing better academically, job satisfaction, and emotional growth. According to EF, taking a gap year can improve your academic performance. They say that taking a break can refresh you and you will come back focused and ready. Gap Year Association provides great analysis and in-depth information about the benefits of a gap year. One big one being that students who have taken a gap year overwhelmingly report being satisfied with their jobs. In his article on Carpe Diem Education site, Hansel Woods explains that through his gap year, he became much more emotionally mature and aware, something that was going to help him in his time at university. Most structured programs are designed to give you the emotional awareness and reflective space that you need to recognize your needs, confront diverse people and points of view, develop conflict management skills, and become much more independent. Gap years come in many different shapes and sizes. Mine took many years and lots of time working in jobs that, while I enjoyed some of them in the moment, were not careers that I wanted to spend my life doing. I explored other paths, and now I have ended up back in school, taking classes for a degree that I could not be more excited about. There are times and situations, of course, where a gap year is not feasible or reasonable, but wherever you are in your life, consider taking a gap year. The many benefits could help strengthen you and help you to find a career or become more focused and more invigorated for the one that you already have.